Hello everyone, I'm Euphonia, and welcome to my Magicka Warden build for the Lost Depths and Firesong updates. Magicka Warden is already pretty strong in Lost Depths, and it gets even stronger in Firesong because of the buffs to Warden crit damage and the buffs to all damage when using an Ice Staff. Typically, I normally play a melee magden using Blood for Blood as my spammable, but ranged magden with an Ice Staff has become probably better than it this patch. To start it off, I'm a Dark Elf. The other good races are Breton or Khajiit. Breton will give you the most sustain, Khajiit will give you the most damage. Dark Elf, I think, is the best in between. You get great damage because you get weapon and spell damage, you get max mag and max stam, and you get fire resistance, which helps offset the fact that we are a vampire. I have 64 points into mag. The health looks a bit low, but we go up to 29k with minor toughness, which will be up 100% of the time. So you have basically 30k health. It's good enough, and this build is deceptively tanky. Our Mundus Stone is the Shadow. We are playing a crit build. This is why Khajiit will give you the most damage if you're running it. The Shadow Stone increases crit damage, which is where we get all of our burst from. We're a stage 3 vamp for Undeath, and my food is Orzorgus Smoked Bear Haunch. This gives max health and mag and stamina recovery. The health recovery doesn't matter. Also, I apologize for anything going on with my voice. I am sick right now. Okay, to start off our sets, our first set is Griffin's Ferocity. This has 2 lines of crit rate, 1 line of weapon and spell damage, and then the 5 piece is whenever you deal damage, no cooldown, or direct damage. It has no cooldown, so it's 100% uptime. You get minor force and minor expedition, so you move faster and get crit damage. The crit damage is really great because we're not using Race Against Time, because there's no need for it on Warden because you have this. And the minor expedition helps offset our mythic. Our second set is Rallying Cry. This is the best set in the entire game for PvP. It's so ridiculously stat dense. It gives the same exact weapon and spell damage as Powerful Assaults, with 100% uptime, while also giving you more crit resistance than full impen. It is really stupidly strong, but there's no reason not to run it. It allows you to take impen off of your armor traits and build for more damage. We aren't using a monster set because we have a mythic, and our front bar set is the Master's Perfected Ice Staff. This reduces the cost of Destructive Touch by 10%, which is nice for sustain, and it increases your weapon and spell damage by 600 after you use Destructive Clench. It also gives 1 line of weapon and spell damage, which is pretty nice for damage. I would say if you're trying to play this build, because this is what you're using front bar, try to get the Perfected Staff. Our mythic is Sea Serpent's Coil. This is basically whenever you drop from 100% health to any other value, you move 40% slower, which is why the minor expedition is nice, and you get Major Courage and Major Berserk, which are the 2 strongest non-unique damage buffs in the game. Major Berserk is 10% damage done, and Major Courage is 430 weapon and spell damage. Lastly, we have One Piece Trainee. This gives a line of max health. You could also have a medium chest here then, and put like One Piece Magma Incarnate or Baron Zodgers for mag and stam recovery, but personally I think the max health is a lot better because then you need to put points into health here. Our armor weights, we have 1 heavy, 4 medium on the. So the way armor weights work is this is the biggest, then these 4, then this, then this. So we have heavy here, 4 medium on these 4, and then these 2 are light. We have heavy reinforced chest because this gives you the most resistance for the 1 slot. We have 6 divines. You can also go 2 impen for a little bit more tankiness. You will not lose out diminishing returns against anyone, even someone who hasn't built any crit resistance, because Rallying Cry solo plus 2 impen brings you to 50% crit resist. Our jewelry traits were all infused, 1 mag cost, 1 mag recovery, 1 spell damage. Typically, I like Bloodthirsty a lot more than infused, but we need the sustain from these. Front bar, I have charged with double dot poisons, and back bar, I have defending with a weapon damage enchantment. I am running double Ice Staff. I find it better than Ice Staff Sword and Board. And with the new change to Warden going on with Firesong right here, you have 10% all damage done when you have an Ice Staff. It doesn't really matter back bar, but I like it back bar for bigger trait and bigger enchant. But this front bar Ice Staff is the best you can do for damage. Charged is for status effects. This is great pressure. It adds burst because our spammable is Crushing Shock, so you have a chance to apply 3 status effects, all have a slight bit of upfront damage. It can add like from anywhere between 1k to like 2k burst just instantly, just for having this trait. It's really, really nice. Backbar, your traits can be either defending, powered, or precise. Defending will make you the tankiest, powered will give you the most raw healing, and precise will give you better rallying cry uptime, and also better crit heals, which are important when you're taking a lot of pressure. We have a Berserker Glyph back bar, and double dot poisons, as I said. As for skills, we have Deep Fissure. This is 9k pen and your strongest burst. It is a crazy skill AoE, gives 9k pen. This is what is going to be nuking people. I have Arctic Blast. This is your burst heal. It's also your stun, and it does a decently strong dot, especially considering every tick of it can apply the chill status effect, which gives minor brittle, which is 10% crit damage taken, plus an extra 10% from this. So, whenever you apply chilled, because you have an Ice Staff, you are getting 20% more crit damage against the person. This is why Warden is great for a crit build. Our spammable is Crushing Shock. It's ranged, it's consistent, easy to weave. It does all 3 damage types, so it can apply all 3 status effects, and interrupts people from range. It's really, really great. Frost Clench. We use this to proc Master's Ice Staff. This immobilizes people, gives them Major Maim, which reduces their damage done by 10%, so really, really great for your survivability. Instantly applies this chilled status effect, and the immobilization is pretty great for wearing down people's stam. Bird of Prey, this is self-explanatory. Slotting gives minor berserk. Slotting gives 3% crit damage, or on live pen because of this passive. You gain immunity to snares and immobilizations, just like Race Against Time, and you get Major Expedition, just like Race Against Time. Front bar alt is Dawnbreaker. This is great melee burst alt. Back bar. We have Ice Fortress. This is your armor buff. It also gives minor protection, and it gives major resolve to everyone within 8 meters of you. This is pretty strong in a small scale, because people like DKs, which can get rid of volatile armor for Cinderstorm and provide healing to a small scale, they don't need volatile armor because as long as they stay next to you, you will be giving them 100% uptime on Major Resolve, as long as you're keeping 100% uptime on Major Resolve. Vigor, this is a great hot. It got nerfed on the PTS, so Firesong, it is probably going to be worse unless they rebuff it sometime over the next couple of weeks. But overall, this has been a pretty uneventful PTS. It also gives minor resolve, which is 3k resistances. Lotus Blossom, this is our crit buff. The healing is nice, I guess, but we're not using it for that. We're using it for crit damage. I mean, for crit rate. Also, anytime you heal someone with it, which is this, so every time you light attack, you do restore magic or stamina. Then we have Leeching Vines. This is a broken as hell heal. It is so much. It is more than Bubble right now. It's basically old Bubble. And it also gives minor lifesteal, so every time you have Arctic Blast ticking on someone, especially 1BX because there's a bunch of people attacking you, all getting minor lifesteal, and then this ticking on everyone around you, you are healing a lot from lifesteal. Then we have Blue Betty. This is our sorcery and brutality buff. It also purges a negative effect and gives us sustain, which is very, very nice, all from a free skill. The Purge, don't worry about it. Plague Break isn't that good this patch, and Plague Break has never been a danger other than, like, before it got nerfed, to scaling with the people in an area, to purging on yourself. Unless you are sitting in a group and you purge Plague Break will not hit hard. Then for a backbar alt, you have a few options. You can go Eye of Frost. This is really strong. You can go Permafrost. You can go the other morph, Northern Storm, or you can go Trees. Healing Thicket, because you just drop it on yourself and run out of it, and it stays on you for 4 seconds. It's basically like Resto Alt. It's really strong. It's a little worse than Resto Alt, I think. But it also heals everyone inside of it other than just a single person like Resto Alt. There are a few other options you can run for skills. You can put Shimmering Shields, front bar or back bar, either replace Arctic Blast or Vigor, and whichever you replace, if you replace Arctic Blast front bar, put it back bar, and just get rid of Vigor. You cannot get rid of any of your other skills. You can also put Cliff Racer here. This is, you hit someone, you get 100 more weapon and spell damage. You hit someone who's off balance, which this applies off balance, and it quadruples to 400 weapon and spell damage. It's also hits harder than Crushing Shock and can be used for pretty decent burst of going like that, because they hit relatively similar times. It gets more consistent the times from further away. Otherwise, you can, let me get out of combat. Okay, wait. Also, to look at that, if you look at combat log, Cliff Racer hits and Crushing Shock hits 0.3 seconds later. It's less than a third of a second from, like, relatively close range. The time between them, you can't really react to it. And then here, the second one, this hit at 8.6 seconds, this hit at 9.1 seconds, so this is 5 second point, this is half a second away. It's a little worse. It was probably my weaving and getting time between skills off. I would like to run Storm. This is very, very strong, but we don't have room for it, unfortunately. You can also take this and just use this as your spammable. It does more damage. You get the weapon and spell damage buff from it, but also this is laggy as hell. It takes forever to reach someone. And also it's pretty easy to dodge or block, or it's just choreographed. Um, those are, however, running this also, you do get you get an extra 3% critical damage. So if you are going to be doing as much damage as possible, this setup is the best. This will give you the strongest burst, especially if you go Khajiit, but you lose out on Vigor, and you also lose out in your stun being front bar. For champion points, we have Ironclad, Focus Mending, Fighting Finesse, Force of Nature. Force of Nature, because we don't have a lot of pen on this build. I know it's single target, but we have Charged, we have 3 status effects from Crushing Shock, we have a a 4th status effect from Magic Damage, which is this, or this if you choose to use it. And then we have a 5th status effect from Poisoned. So it does give you like 4K-ish pen. More than that, maybe. Yeah. Um, you can go Master at Arms, Deadly Aim or Biting Aura, but personally, this is, I think, the most damage. You can also get rid of this, go Master at Arms. I think this might be better, but you lose survivability, and we already don't have a lot of resistances on this build. It is deceptively tanky. It survived and took less damage than a MagDK I'm testing on here, and the meta Stamden build that's all over the place. This build is really, really tanky, but I would not want to get rid of Ironclad. Then for red CP, we have Survival Instincts, Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering. These are normal. My 4th would normally either be Celerity or Relentlessness. Relentlessness is major prot with really high uptime if you get stunned a lot, which is crazy strong. Celerity is 10% movement speed, but we don't need that because we have Major Expedition. We don't have any Swift, so you'll still move slowly with Coil, but you are a ranged build, so it doesn't matter that much. And you have Bird. So our 4 CP is instead Peace of Mind. This is 200 health and mag recovery while on crowd control immunity. After you get stunned, you get 6 seconds of crowd control immunity, and you're probably going to be stunned on cooldown in open world and in duels and just in any situation, unless you're sitting from afar in like a BG, or like you're like sniping people that are in a Zerg from behind like other people. You will be getting mag and stam recovery. I mean, your health and the health recovery doesn't matter, but the mag recovery is very important. This allows this build to sustain fine, which like I feel like infused mag cost and infused mag recovery should already do, but it is needed. So the burst you're going to be doing with this is you're going to have Shulk, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, and then that. If you're using Bird. But like really you're going to be wanting to burst on the second one, so you can do that and then do that, 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 or something like that. Yeah, that's basically it. This is really, really strong burst because it's a crit build. It does have issues finishing off good players that are in Rallying Cry because it's a crit build, and it does sort of get countered by people having a bunch of crit res, but it's very strong, it's deceptively tanky, and I really, really like it. I think this is a great Warden build. It should work in Lost Steps, and it will definitely work in Firesong. Here's a superstar screenshot. If you just want to like pause the video, look at this, you can copy it down. Personally, I would prefer not running Cliff Racer, but you will get more damage. I like Arctic Blast front bar for a stun front bar, and to be able to just panic burst heal while on front bar. Thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the build, and I'll see you in the next one.